Okay, this is Combined Science Online lesson number 2. Combined Science Online lesson number 2. In our lesson number 1, we looked at the topics that we are going to be covering on Combined Science, and we said the first topic we are going to start with the topic of cells and levels of organization. We managed to revisit some of the ZJC concepts of Combined Science on the topic of cells, in which we managed to look at the plant cell and animal cell, functions of parts of the plant cell as well as functions of the parts of the animal cell. Today we are going to be looking at cell specialization. We're going to look at cell specialization. This is what we're going to be looking at today. And what do we call cell specialization? Cell specialization is when cells concentrate on a particular task in the body of a living thing. It is when cells concentrate on a particular task in the body of a living thing. This is what you call cell specialization. And you are going to see that we have got specializing cells in animals as well as specializing cells in plants. For specializing cells in animals, we have got red blood cells and muscle cells. These are the specializing cells in animals. You should know that cell specialization is when cells are doing a specific task in the body of a living thing. So what you should know is all living things, they are made up of cells. These cells, they are not identical. They have got different features depending on their line of specialization. They are all animal cells, but some of these animal cells, they have got this function, and some of the animal cells have got this function. This is what called cell specialization. They are all plant cells, but some of these plant cells have got a specific function. Some of these plant cells have got a specific function. Let us take, for example, when we talk about vehicles, they are all vehicles, but these vehicles, they have got different functions. We have got lorries, we have got buses, we have got ambulance, we have got different vehicles, and these vehicles, they have got different structures depending on their line of specialization. This is the same as cells. When we are talking about animal cells, they have got different structures because of different functions. So following our combined science syllabus, we have got two specializing cells in animals that we should concentrate on, which are red blood cells and muscle cells. I repeat, red blood cells and muscle cells. We are going to start by looking at what we call red blood cells. What do we call red blood cells? We're going to start by looking at what we call red blood cells. Red blood cells, these are animal cells that specialize in transporting oxygen around the body. These are animal cells that specialize in transporting oxygen around the body. They carry oxygen from lungs to all parts of the body. These are what we call red blood cells. They carry oxygen from the lungs to all parts of the body. I have managed to draw for you a sketch diagram of a red blood cell, as you can see there. I want you to draw a red blood cell. You should be able to draw a red blood cell. Now we want to look at adaptations of red blood cells for their function. Remember, we said red blood cells, their function is to transport oxygen around the body. Now we want to look at adaptations of red blood cells for their function. The first adaptation is that red blood cells have got biconcave shape to increase surface area. They have got a biconcave shape to increase surface area for more absorption of oxygen. Number two, they do not have a nucleus, so that they increase space inside to carry more oxygen. They do not have nucleus, so that they increase their space inside to carry as much oxygen as possible. Number three, They contain a chemical which is called hemoglobin, which attracts oxygen. They contain hemoglobin, which attract oxygen. We are saying what are the features that are found on these red blood cells that make them suitable for their function. These are what we call adaptations of red blood cells for their function. The other one, they are flexible so that they can easily move in blood capillaries. I repeat, they are flexible so that they can easily move in blood capillaries. So these are adaptations of red blood cells for their function. First one, they have got a biconcave shape to increase surface area. They do not have a nucleus to increase space inside. They contain hemoglobin which attract oxygen. They are flexible so that they can easily move in blood capillaries. They have got a thin membrane so that oxygen can easily pass through. So all these are adaptations of red blood cells for their function. Now, like what we said in specializing cells in animals, we have got muscle cells as well as animal cells. So now I want to look at muscle cells. What do we call muscle cells? These are animal cells that specialize in moving the body parts through their ability to contract and relax. They specialize in moving the body parts through their ability to contract and relax. These are what we call muscle cells. You should be able to draw muscle cells. And now on adaptations of muscle cells for their functions, the first one, they are elastic. They can easily relax and contract. The other one, they are connected to the nerves. They are connected to the nerves so that their actions, they can be controlled. The other one, more respiration take place in these cells. They contain a lot of mitochondria, so that more respiration take place in these cells, so that they can, so that more energy again is produced for them to function. Remember, these cells, they are for movement, so they need as much energy as possible. So a lot of respiration take place in these cells. So this is what we have looked at in our lesson number 2. We have looked at what we call cell specialization. When cells concentrate on a particular task in the body of a living thing. We have looked at specializing cells in animals. And following our ZIMSEC syllabus, we have looked at red blood cells and muscle cells. Red blood cells, their function is to carry oxygen around the body. In muscle cells, their function is to moving the body parts through their ability to contract and relax. We have looked at adaptations of red blood cells for their function, as well as adaptations of muscle cells for their function. In our next lesson, we are going to be looking at specialized cells in plants, where we'll be looking at the palisade cell and root hair cell. Thank you so much for watching. I hope we are together.